Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Peter coming at you through the tubes of the internet. Today, taking a look at the latest release from Joyce Manor, an album called $1 Million to Kill Me. I'm excited to discuss and glad you could join.
Fast facts.
$1 Million to Kill Me, released September 21st, 2018 via Epitaph Records, is the fifth studio LP from Long Beach, California-based indie punk crossover act Joyce Manor. The group currently consists of 4 members: frontman Barry Johnson, bassist Matt Ebert, guitarist Chase Knob, and new drummer Pat Ware.
Backstory.
Joyce Manor's early material was characterized by short blasts of garage punk intensity. Raw, lo-fi production and in-your-face instrumentals were features of tunes which rarely surpassed a 2-minute runtime. Over the years, the band took on more indie and pop influences, and the sound mellowed out a bit with age. Joyce Manor's latest record was produced by Converge guitarist Kurt Ballou. So it'd be natural to assume this team-up shared hardcore roots would lead to some really blistering punk, but that's actually the opposite of what happens with $1 Million to Kill Me. The overarching instrumental trend seems to be a California oldies rock sound. And Joyce Manor pull this off pretty well. They make it sound like a natural offshoot from their bleeding cool leather jacket aesthetic. They still bring some punk teeth to the record, but often abandon that sound completely in lieu of laid-back surfer rock and roll with a unique emphasis on the roll part.
Track-by-track analysis.
This release has 10 tracks and clocks in at 22 minutes. This runtime should come as no surprise to fans of the band. Short releases are Joyce Manor's MO, and this is actually their second longest record, just a couple minutes shy of the previous release, 2016's Cody. Some song structures are samey here, but Joyce Manor throw in enough sonic curveballs to save the album from being too one-note.
Track 1, Fighting Kangaroo.
Joyce Manor come bursting out of the gate here with a familiar sound. A little of that 60s influence makes it through with the butt-butta backup vocal, but the band phase in that new sound in small doses as this album's starting up, and the track's mostly made up of jammin' power chords with some clean emo leads over top. The story here does a great job of setting up an ongoing theme for the album. It's directed towards a partner who's just barely over the threshold of being positively regarded. After a long string of lackluster relationships, Barry's come to think of this person as the one who's okay enough to get by, and that's unfortunately the best he has going for him. The fighting kangaroo metaphor here lands great with the idea that those past romantic failures have led to him becoming irrationally combative. It gives a strong sense of just how jaded this character has ended up. And that dreary mood conveyed via bubbly, upbeat pop punk makes for a cool track.
Track 2, Think I'm Still in Love with You.
This tune's themes build on the same concepts from the first track, with the overall inadequacy of relationship being the main topic. Johnson wants to say he's still in love, and he does end up saying it, but he knows deep down it's not legit. The band again employ overdriven pop-punk guitars as a musical backing, while they sing about being beat into the ground and having nothing else left to break. The contrast between the humor of the lyrics and the depressing subject matter works well. Even though Joyce Manor's tracks are short on this release, the interplay between them is often strong, and themes continue to be fleshed out from song to song rather than having them sectioned off and mutually exclusive. Another good song here before Joyce Manor starts branching off into new territory.
Track 3, Big Life.
Subtle drums and bass lead the instrumentation during the verses of this track, before clean, jangling guitar sounds lend an 80s pop feel to the chorus. Here, a character who's tired of being lonely is ready to accept the ups and downs of an ongoing relationship. I love the lines, which suggests this character is prepared for some negative aspects of dating as long as it means not feeling isolated anymore. During the bridge, the chill instrumental gets upended by some guttural post-hardcore vocals. They're mixed low but performed intensely, and it sounds like a throwback to Joyce Manor's early material. No individual part of this song lands perfectly for me, but there's enough different aspects to keep things interesting. A pretty okay tune overall.
Track 4, I'm Not the One.
I'm not the one who invented the sun, but I know who did.
Joyce Manor slows things down here with an acoustic song that features a nimble fingerpick progression as the lead. It's simple but branches off in subtle, interesting ways as the song moves along. I like the choice to have this song batting cleanup in the track list because it's a nice diversion from the 3 previous heavy hitters. And it's still early enough in the runtime that there's no chance of boredom setting in during the slower pace cut. Lyrically, this tune examines the implications of having excessive wealth, with one character who ends up burning all of her partner's money and another who tries to give it all away to charity. Those first couple stories are interesting, but it's especially well executed when Barry uses the theme to examine the scene he's personally part of, telling about how the king of hardcore was crowned because of his access to exclusive merch rather than his musical merits. It kind of hints at the corrupting influence of capitalism on punk or in art in general. I don't know, the pretty instrumentation of this one hooks me in and the commentary seems incisive. I think it's a great song.
Track 5, $1 Million to Kill Me.
She don't wanna write a song.
On the title track, Joyce Manor's back to the topic of painful relationships. Barry's with a partner who has a special knack for extracting value from him, even though he is otherwise seemingly worthless. Without her by his side, he's just an unhappy loser, but she's able to elevate him to something more. The poppy instrumentals make for a super catchy tune, but not one that's bringing much new to the table at this point. Just 10 minutes into the album, this theme and sound is already seeming a bit tired. It worked great as a single, but doesn't add much in the context of the full release. I still like this song quite a bit, but it's pretty similar to other material on the record.
She's the only one who could take you to a pawn shop and sell you for twice what you were.
Track 6, Silly Games.
This cut goes about a mile down the rabbit hole of that 60s doo-wop vibe found throughout the album. It takes the tone to its extreme and it sounds like a teenage bubblegummy love song a la Paul Anka or the Beach Boys, right down to the wholesomeness of the silly word choice and the crooning backup vocals. The song is feather light on lyrical content with just 7 total lines comprising the verse and chorus combined. It borders on being a goofy novelty song, but I actually think it works surprisingly well to bring a new flavor to the track list. Wouldn't say it's one of my favorites from the album, but I can definitely appreciate they tried something way out in left field and pretty much got it to stick here. A cool tune.
Track 7, Friends We Met Online.
You and I were members of the same online community.
Following the previous cut, the lyrics here have an almost anachronistic quality. Using the high-tech theme of internet friends on an album that draws influences from 70-year-old music styles seems contradictory, but works great for this track. Barry establishes early on that expressing his love for internet friends might come across as corny to the listener, but he's fine with that and wants to do it anyway. And I'm glad he did because this tune is awesome. I just love how it plays out like a fuck you to the hacky cliche that the internet's isolating and drives people apart. As he's recalling heart-to-heart conversations that left him feeling less lonely, it's a great antidote to that boring trope. It bums me out a bit that the bridge vocals are so buried in the mix to the point that they're almost unintelligible, but aside from that minor production gripe, this one rips. Maybe another toe dipped into the 80s influences here with a subtle new wave tinge to the pop punk style, one of my favorites on the album.
Track 8, Up the Punx.
The last rocker on the album features a really unique vocal delivery. The lines are split up into individual syllables and they're performed in a rhythmic and punchy way. I didn't take much away from the lyricism here, but I like how the vocal melody rides the guitars beneath and the overall driving instrumentation of the track. Pretty cool stuff.
Track 9, Gone Tomorrow.
Everybody wants to tell a story. No one's got a thing to say.
Joyce Manor get almost aggressively mid-tempo with this penultimate cut, and it fits the mood of the lyricism. Saying life passes without much pain or sorrow, and overall it's just uneventful. It's a melancholy tune that makes it seem like the album's winding down early, almost like there's two closers here. Rhymes here just seemed a bit basic, and maybe the effort levels are more low-key to match the vibe of the track.
Track 10, Wildflowers.
Sunshine coming in through.
Joyce Manor go on a sweet, sun-drenched rock tune. It really settles into that California vibe that's been present throughout the album and has some chill Weezer similarities. The story seems to be about being awestruck by beauty and the rush of emotions that follow. Quite a few of which here seem to be negative feelings, like a heart turned to stone and someone who's just pretending to believe. I think mesmerizing beauty leading to devastation and self-doubt is an interesting theme to leave off on here, and I like this as a closer.
Verdict.
Overall, I enjoyed this release quite a bit. It didn't always blow me away, but the subtle different directions it branched out with the oldies sound and the way it developed on the running themes made it seem like plenty was accomplished in these 20 minutes. The individual tracks don't have a whole lot of depth, but there is some built towards over the course of the release, and several of the tunes just flat out rock instrumentally. For those reasons, I'm going to give this release a score of 8 out of 10.
I'd be rich.
So that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the record. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the release, my critique, or the review format in general. Making this is a lot of work, but also fun, and definitely worth it if it helps some people wrap their head around the record. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
It's a series of tubes.